And now your host, Richard Thomas.
Good evening, and welcome to It's a Miracle. It's that time of year again when we celebrate the many blessings in our lives. And tonight we've chosen several stories that we think are especially appropriate for this Thanksgiving season. They offer a chance to appreciate how wonderful life can be. But more importantly, in each of them, someone receives a blessing they never expected and the opportunity to give thanks for their good fortune. Ever since he was a young boy, Paul Lassard's nightmare was always the same.
I'm in a car, and the car hurtles through the air and then hits the water. The water starts coming into the car and we start submerging. And I can feel the water moving up my legs, up to my waist, up to my chest. These dreams began when I was 11 years old.
Honey, you okay?
And literally continued 3-4 times a year, all the way up until I was in my 30s.
Another one of those drowning dreams?
Yeah.
Baby, I don't know what's causing them.
Paul's wife, Jane, a psychologist, attempted to help him understand his dream.
We're okay.
We talked through it and stuff, but it didn't ever feel like there was a real resolution to why I was having it or what was going on. It kept reoccurring.
Then, in April of 1993, Paul left his home early one morning during a downpour.
The rain was so heavy, it was like the windshield wipers weren't even working that day. I didn't realize it, but it had been raining like that all night long. I was on my way to play squash, and I was running late. So when I hit Main Street, I remembered a shortcut that I discovered a couple weeks before.
But what Paul didn't know was that the shortcut would take him down a road where just minutes earlier, a flash flood had carried a car into the lake. Luckily, Jack Cavanaugh was nearby.
I ran down to the edge of the water and dived in and started swimming out to the car. The water was powerful. And I get to the car and there's a lady inside. I'm swimming around and I'm trying to get the doors open and nothing was happening. I realized the car was filling with water and the person inside was in grave danger. And at that point, I was really praying, what should I do?
It was then that Paul Lassard arrived on the scene.
I could see a man on top of a car, and I thought he was the driver and maybe he couldn't swim. I literally started taking off my clothes that second to go help him. At that point, he told me he was fine, but there was a woman trapped in the car and he needed help. He couldn't break the window. My thought was strip down to get ready to get in and run to a house to get something to break the window.
This is locked, I can't open this!
Meanwhile, Jack was doing everything he could to help the woman trapped inside.
I tried to open the passenger side door. It wouldn't budge. A great deal of water pressure, I think, was really holding the doors shut.
By now, Paul had arrived at the nearest house. Amazingly, the woman did not turn away the drenched man standing in his shorts outside her door.
She let me into her house. I ran to this tool room, grabbed a plumber's wrench and a hammer, and I turned around and ran out as quick as I could, and I called to her to call 911.
Back at the car, the situation was getting worse by the minute.
I could see the water gushing in through the vents and filling the car up. So the first thought was, I have to get her out of her seatbelt, because if this car sinks and she's in her seatbelt, it would be nearly impossible to get her out of it.
Undo your seatbelt!
And she finally did pop the seatbelt loose.
It wasn't a moment too soon.
The water was very deep and the front end of the car was going down.
I can't get it open! You have to go to the back! Just calm down, I'm gonna go to the back!
There was an air pocket in the back.
Come on back!
She started to climb back over the front seat and head toward the back of the car.
Come on, you can breathe back here!
I could see the car filling up with water and realized how urgent the situation this was turning into, because, she only had a few seconds of air left.
The dramatic conclusion when It's a Miracle continues. flash flood has swept a woman and her car into a lake, trapping her inside. While one man fights the powerful currents in an attempt to free her, another man runs for help. But time is running out, and the car is sinking fast. Then, just when her oxygen supply is nearly exhausted, Paul Lessard returns to the water's edge.
All I can remember hearing was the roar of the water, the rain, and my heart beating. My heart was just pounding out of my chest, and I was convinced I was going to have a heart attack doing this. When I got up on the bumper and looked into the window, she was submerged in water. She had quit breathing. And I remember thinking, you know, God, don't let us get this close and not be able to save her. After I had seen that this woman was drowning, I looked over to this man and yelled at him to cover his eyes. And we started trying to get her out as fast as we could because the car was really going down quickly.
It sank all of a sudden, and in one big moment, we were all three completely underwater.
The water was so murky that we knew if we let her go, we'd never find her. We fought to get through the current, and when we got her up to shore, and one of us must have elbowed her because she started regurgitating all this water.
Thanks to the neighbor who'd loaned Paul the tools, the paramedics showed up just moments later.
If you would, ma'am, just breathe real deep.
Sounds like you took in too much water.
I do believe she did.
I don't think you can describe what it's like to save someone's life. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I was just very, very relieved that she was safe.
We'll get you to the hospital and get some help with that breathing. How about that? Get some of that stuff out.
It's been 7 years since Paul and Jack rescued Ella Mae Bowman, and they continue to marvel at the miracle that brought them together.
The confluence of the timing and the people. Two men that could swim happened to be there at 5 in the morning on a rainy April. That to me is miraculous.
If it hadn't been for Paul and Jack, I wouldn't be here today. They were my angels and got me out of that car.
If you don't believe in miracles before an event like this happens in your life, you absolutely do afterwards.
For Paul, the incident brought another miracle as well.
From the day we rescued Ella Mae, I've never had another nightmare about a car in the water. And the only thing I can say is that this whole event healed me, I guess, of the fears I had.
And it also gave him a profound respect for the mysterious ways in which we can affect each other's lives.
At that moment of time, we held someone's life in our hands. And it was a precious woman's life. I mean, a woman who had children, grandchildren. In the years that have passed, I look back on it and I go, gosh, what would have happened if we hadn't saved her? And you know, you thank God that we did.
Miracles have a way of changing the lives of the people who experience them. And in the case of the lady in the lake, the lives of 3 strangers are forever connected. They join us now from High Point, North Carolina. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
How are you all doing?
Fine.
Doing great.
Now, I understand that the 3 of you don't often get to see each other, especially with Jack living hundreds of miles away. So how does it feel to be reunited?
Well, it's nice in as much as we're all here in North Carolina. I live in Texas, but this is one of the most beautiful parts of the country, and it's a treat to come here. And again, to see Paul, who's become a very good friend and close, and Ella Mae, who treats us like we're her sons, and she's our mom. So it's a real joy for us to be here.
Well, it's obvious that the 3 of you have become very close.
Well, I think Jack and I would both say it's probably the greatest blessing that's come out of this whole experience, and I truly do feel like we both have a second mother here.
Now, I understand that you two both received a special heroism award for saving Ella Mae.
Yes, we did. The Carnegie Foundation has an award that they give out to people who are involved in rescuing people that they don't know, complete strangers. And the foundation is set up and gives out the Carnegie Hero Fund Medal.
It's a well-deserved honor. And Ella May, I hear that you were there when they received it. How did that make you feel?
I was really excited when I saw them walking out there towards me. My husband was with me then, and I told him, I said, here comes two precious young men that I think so much of. It was such a joy.
You know what, guys? That sounds like a mother talking. I don't want to take up any more of your precious time together, so thank you for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.